answer that question.
Tom Cruise's story has always felt bigger than cinema. From red carpets to record-breaking films, his face became one of the most recognizable in the world. Fame, wealth, and global admiration followed him for decades, along with intense scrutiny of his private life. While his career reached incredible heights, his personal world slowly grew more complicated. At the center of that quiet struggle stood one relationship that mattered more than any award or box office record: his role as a father. The bond between Tom Cruise and his youngest child, Suri, has remained one of Hollywood's most emotional and debated mysteries. What began as a fairy tale family eventually turned into distance, silence, and unanswered questions that continue to linger today. From small beginnings to global stardom, Tom Cruise's rise to global superstardom is a story built on relentless drive and determination. Growing up in a troubled household marked by instability and frequent moves, he learned early how to adapt and survive. Acting became both an escape and a goal, giving him purpose when little else felt secure. His early film roles hinted at raw talent, but it was his intensity, discipline, and magnetic screen presence that truly set him apart. As audiences connected with his confidence and energy, studios began trusting him with increasingly demanding projects. Over time, Tom reshaped his image, transitioning from youthful romantic leads to complex dramatic roles in high-stakes action films. He became famous for pushing limits, performing dangerous stunts himself, and demanding excellence in every detail. This fearless approach fueled decades of success and turned him into a symbol of endurance in Hollywood. Yet as his professional identity grew larger than life, the sacrifices required by fame quietly narrowed the space for a peaceful personal life, planting the seeds for future struggles behind the scenes. Love, faith, and the first cracks. In his early adult life, Tom Cruise appeared to search for emotional stability while balancing ambition and belief. His marriage to Mimi Rogers marked a pivotal moment, as she introduced him deeply to Scientology, a belief system that would later define much of his personal and professional world. Though the relationship was brief, it ended amid heavy media scrutiny and speculation, signaling how public Tom's private life had become. Soon after, he married Nicole Kidman, and together they formed what many considered a perfect Hollywood couple. They shared fame, creative success, and built a family through adoption. To the public, their bond seemed strong and affectionate. Behind closed doors, however, differences slowly surfaced. Competing priorities, personal struggles, and outside pressures began to strain the relationship. When their marriage ended, it shocked fans worldwide and marked a profound turning point. From that moment on, Tom's faith, relationships, and family choices became closely linked in public perception, drawing constant attention and debate. The rise of control and public curiosity. As Tom Cruise's commitment to Scientology became more visible, public curiosity intensified. Media outlets and former members began questioning how much influence the church held over his personal decisions, especially his romantic relationships. While Tom strongly denied claims of control, speculation continued to grow. To many fans, he appeared increasingly insulated within a structured belief system, surrounded by loyalty and discipline. Critics argued that this environment created emotional distance between him and those outside it. Each breakup seemed to reinforce the narrative of separation and rigidity. What once looked like confidence and certainty began to feel inflexible in the eyes of the public. The contrast between Tom's passionate public persona and his increasingly private emotional world raised concerns. The line between devotion and isolation blurred, leaving audiences unsure where faith ended and control began. This atmosphere of mystery and speculation laid the groundwork for his next high-profile relationship, one that would briefly convince the world he had finally found lasting happiness again. Tom and Katie, a fairy tale under lights, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' romance unfolded with cinematic intensity. Their relationship quickly became a media spectacle filled with bold declarations of love, red carpet appearances, and constant headlines. Tom's enthusiasm was unapologetic, and Katie seemed swept up in the whirlwind. The speed of their commitment fascinated the public, transforming them into a cultural obsession almost overnight. When they welcomed their daughter, Suri, the world celebrated alongside them. Marriage soon followed in a lavish ceremony that symbolized glamour, unity, and promise. Tom spoke passionately about fatherhood, expressing certainty that family was now his top priority. Katie appeared devoted, hopeful, and deeply invested in their future together. For a brief moment, everything seemed perfectly aligned. Yet behind the scenes, the pressure of constant attention, the intensity of Tom's beliefs, and the challenge of maintaining individuality quietly strained the marriage. Beneath the fairy tale exterior, cracks were forming that few could see at the time. The divorce that changed everything. When Katie Holmes filed for divorce, the suddenness of the decision stunned both the public and Tom himself. The separation unfolded swiftly and quietly, with legal matters resolved efficiently but emotional consequences left unresolved. Custody arrangements placed Suri primarily in Katie's care, and life shifted dramatically overnight. Katie moved to New York, focusing on creating a stable, private environment for her daughter away from Hollywood's glare. Tom remained physically and emotionally distant, immersed in work and his belief system. Public appearances between father and daughter ceased, and what once felt like a vibrant family bond faded into silence. Official statements offered little explanation, leaving fans to speculate endlessly. The absence of visible connection became impossible to ignore. From that moment forward, Suri's upbringing followed a path separate from her father's world, marking a lasting divide that reshaped all their lives in ways no public narrative could fully explain. Suri steps into her own identity. As Suri reached adulthood, she made a quiet but meaningful decision that spoke volumes. Choosing to use her mother's name reflected gratitude, independence, and emotional alignment rather than rebellion. It was a personal choice rooted in stability and lived experience. Raised away from spectacle, Suri pursued education, creativity, and personal interests without public drama. Observers noted her grounded demeanor and thoughtful presence. Rather than reacting to her past, she seemed focused on shaping her future. The absence of controversy made her decision even more powerful. It suggested confidence built through consistency and care. Suri's identity was not formed in opposition to her father, but in alignment with the life that nurtured her. Her path demonstrated maturity and self-awareness, showing that strength does not always need explanation. Sometimes the most powerful statements are made quietly, through choices that honor where love and support truly came from. The Father's Day moment that spoke loudly. When Tom Cruise was asked about Father's Day and spoke only about adventure and work, the response was immediate and emotional. The absence of any mention of his children reopened long-standing conversations about distance and disconnection. For many, the moment felt confirming rather than surprising. It highlighted how normalized the separation had become. Whether intentional or not, the silence spoke volumes. Fans compared his words to the reality of his relationship with Suri, and the contrast felt sharp. Meanwhile, Suri continued living privately, focused on education, creativity, and life with her mother. The difference between their worlds became increasingly visible. One life moved at high speed under global lights, the other unfolded quietly with intention. That brief moment, simple in words, reinforced years of unanswered questions and emotional distance that had already defined the public understanding of their relationship. Two separate paths. Forward today, Tom Cruise continues dominating the global stage, driven by momentum, belief, and a career that refuses to slow down. Suri, meanwhile, walks a quieter path shaped by privacy, independence, and self-determination. Their lives run parallel but no longer intersect publicly. Whether reconciliation will ever happen remains unknown. What is clear is that choices, protection, and belief systems shape two very different realities. Suri's upbringing fostered emotional grounding and autonomy, while Tom's life remains closely tied to his career and faith. Their story is not simply about fame or distance, but about the cost of influence and the complexity of personal conviction. It serves as a reminder that even the biggest stars face deeply human struggles. In the end, silence, more than words, defines their relationship, and sometimes that silence tells the most honest story of all.